Hey, Lisa, is that better?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, good. Hey, Mike.
Hey.
Cheers.
Okay. Ready to go? Does someone on the commission want to volunteer to chair the meeting?
I can do it, Lisa, but I don't have a copy of the agenda in front of me. Sorry.
I will put it in front of you.
Okay.
I will share my screen. Okay.
Okay.
Can you see it?
Yep. Are we ready to go?
Yep.
All right. Call this meeting to order. We need to do roll call.
Okay. Do you want me to do roll call?
Yeah, please.
All right. Commissioner Fuchs?
Here.
Commissioner Case?
Yes.
Commissioner Murray?
Here.
Commissioner Moorhead?
I'm here.
Commissioner Tarbett?
I'm also here.
And Commissioners Lambert and Lean both requested to be excused tonight. We also have Finance Director Carlton and City Administrator Rizzatello and myself, City Clerk Neisel. We're good to go.
All right. Perfect. Need a motion to approve the agenda for tonight's meeting in a second.
And you can do, basically what you can do is you can approve the consent
Oh, I didn't see
agenda.
that. Yeah. Okay.
Which
So a motion to approve the consent agenda then.
Motion to approve.
And a
Motion approved.
second. You got that, Lisa?
Yeah, it looks like Moorhead made the motion and Murray seconded.
Yep.
All
I
right.
forget, do you guys do a roll call vote or do you just do A's and nays?
I think we just do yeas and nays.
Yeah.
All-
A's and nays.
Yeah.
Okay.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The consent agenda is approved. Number 3, we move on to action items. So the Economic Development Week proclamation language.
Okay, thank you. This is just some language to, because the International Economic Development Council, every second week of May, they have Economic Development Week. So this is just a proclamation for that. We'll have Norma, Mayor Hernandez read that next week. So this is just if you're okay with the language, and if so, make a motion to approve that. If you want to tweak it, please let me know what you want it to be tweaked to.
Board members, does anybody have any changes they want to see made? If not, we need a motion to approve the proclamation.
I move we approve the proclamation.
That's Kyle, right?
Yes.
And a second?
Second that.
Second.
Or third that.
All in favor,
Jinx.
say aye.
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 All opposed? Motion passes. Next, we have the Community Development Block Grant for 2021 application, downtown parking lot location assessment and planning study. Michael, is that you?
Yeah. So with this item, I basically need a letter of support. And the concept here is we're going to put in a community development block grant application with that says you're in support of the assessment I'm trying to get grant funding for. Lisa, if you could click on the map document so they could see the area that we're trying to cover here. The general concept is that our downtown core, we don't really have like a shared parking lot facility. And because of that, the way it stands right now, anytime anyone wants to do development in the downtown, they have to build their own parking. It just adds up with all the fees. The general concept here is if we can work toward developing a shared parking facility instead of making everyone putting their own parking, we could essentially direct parking in centralized areas, and then that would allow us to not put that requirement on everyone. It would encourage more small businesses go along College Avenue. So this grant proposal, in essence, if it gets funded, would fund site assessment. So figuring out what are the best areas to put the parking lot, and then also the engineering cost as well. So to start doing the engineering, so we could tee it up for the next grant, which would be a construct it.
So, board members, do you have questions for Michael? I have one. Are we talking about just one location, Mike, in the end, or what are you thinking?
I think it would be a couple of them. I think we need at least one centralized parking lot south of 4th Street up to 13th. And then I'm thinking we likely would need another one on the north side between Whitman and C Street, because Walla University, essentially, it like bisects the downtown area. So really you need two parking facilities. It's a long enough corridor.
Okay. Well, board members, do you have any questions? If not,
Hey, Mike,
Yeah.
how big of a parking, now, are we talking like a structure, or what are we talking about as far as like the parking grounds there?
Just a surface parking lot. So likely the size of it would probably be half an acre or so, because parking garages, that's too cost prohibitive to build for a city our size. Parking garage would end up being like $25,000 a parking spot.
Jeez.
So it would need to be a surface lot. And
Okay.
right now we don't really have none of that. So anytime anyone builds anything on College Avenue, they have to build their own parking.
Oh, wow. Okay. So kind of like, so if any, like say if like a business like mine wants to put downtown anywhere along College Avenue, we'd have to literally
Yeah.
get a big enough spot and then put in our own parking and everything.
Yeah.
And then plus everything else. Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, no, I was just wondering if it was gonna be multi-level or just surface. So no, I answered that question.
Yeah, it'll be surface and likely in 2 locations at least.
Cool.
So you're just looking for a letter to support the application for a grant to do
Correct.
a study on the parking possibilities, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. I don't have any questions.
Are there any further questions? There's a letter of support already drafted there. I don't know if everybody can see that, but unless you have any changes you want to make, we need a motion and a second for it.
I make a motion that we accept that letter.
Okay. And a second.
Second.
Third.
Hey, any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? Motion passes for the letter. Next item, 3.03, letter of support for Washington State Traffic Commission grant, rapid flashing beacons and safety provisions.
Okay, thank you. So this will be another letter of support. The general idea here is we want to put additional like safety rapid flashing beacons and safety provisions at some key areas where we've had some pedestrian versus car incidents. So there are two areas. One of them is outside the business area. The other one's right in the heart of it. So the one that's outside of it is the intersection of Whitman and Academy Way. That's right on the north end of the 4th and Academy Way cycle track. We have a crosswalk, but there's no signage coming up to it. So we've had a number of complaints emailed to folks here about that. And Whitman Drive is the main east-west road that gets a lot of traffic going to Whitman Monument and the airport and areas west. The other one, which directly impacts business communities, that crosswalk in front of the post office, that's one of these things where when College Avenue was rebuilt, I have no idea why that wasn't done to have additional safety provisions, but it hasn't. And the issue is that we have a lot that's very busy midday, and we have a lot of issues where there's parking right up against it. So when the traffic is going, if there's people trying to use that crosswalk, you don't really see them until almost when you're right on top of them. So this grant, if we get it, would fund the engineering and then the mitigation for both of those crossings. And it's a letter of support we need from the Economic Development Commission.
Board members, any discussion? If not, I need a motion and a second for this.
Motion to support the letter for the traffic commission grant.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? Okay, motion passes to approve 3.03. Blue Zone project.
Hey, thank you. So Blue Zones, as you know, College Place participates in that with Walla Walla, and that's a regional initiative to try to assist with community help and fixing the built environment to really direct people toward doing healthy initiatives. So the documents before you are just some of the other documents you'll see. I just want to make sure that the appropriate input is getting channeled into this because there's a lot of it's very slanted toward Walla Walla at the moment, and I'm making sure to get all of our points of concern in there. But I just want to make sure it's in front of you in case you see things that need to be tweaked for it. The Built Environment Blueprint final document is probably the most important of the three documents. And if you go to the bottom of page 2, going through the end of it, you'll see the key objectives that they're working on. The idea is to try and encourage a multimodal network. So working on complete streets, that means streets that have all types of transportation modes like bike, pedestrian, multimodal, and then cars. ADA and local road safety plan. That's needed to get additional grant opportunities to fix our local roads. And then active transportation plan, that's another one. Then the healthy and equitable land use practices, a look at transit stops, also a long-term sustainable source of funding for transportation benefit district. The interesting thing in College Place is while we have a transportation benefit district on the books, no source of funding was ever established to correlate with it. So while they have voter approved sales tax, here in College Place, we don't have anything. We only have either the local tab option or the sales tax option. So when folks wonder why we can't tackle the local roads as quick as we can, that's why we don't really have funding for it. Also, correlation as far as working together with the surrounding agencies. Capacity building initiative would be to help with work together on housing. There's a local housing trust that's actually going to work toward developing low to missing middle housing and get options available for our residents. And then also increase community engagement. Then objective 3 details with projects that will engage the community in public space redesign. So a demonstration or marquee project, the difference there is a demonstration project is temporary, a marquee project is permanent. So one of them is implement downtown placemaking efforts. That means a parklet, public art, shared parking like what we just went over, some sort of public space to really encourage activity downtown. Number 2 is traffic calming for safe routes to school toolkit. So work on trying to get additional sidewalks which around the schools, and then develop a complete street demonstration project. I mean, a good example of that is like what was done on 4th and Academy Way with the cycle track. So trying to work to with some of our future streets to get all the modes incorporated. So Blue Zones are going to be working on this over the next 3 years, and they'll help us write grants and get some of this program. But at least for the built environment element of their project, that's what they're gearing towards. So if anyone has any issues with anything or any additions that I should be forwarding to that steering group, please let me know.
Any questions or comments for Mike? Board members? All right, Michael. Thank you.
Okay.
Next item.
Okay, next item is just economic recovery dashboard. So State Department of Commerce puts this out every month. So I just like to bring this up so you're aware of it. They've done this since the pandemic started. So as far as job postings, our changes up 17% on that, which is good. However, year employment, which is the amount of people employed in full-time jobs, in our county, while we aren't the worst, we aren't the best either. So as you can see in the color-coded infographic, we're negative 4% year to year. So that's an issue. Business-wise, our retail sales from pre-pandemic to post, we're actually up 5%, ironically, so that's a bit odd. Export volumes down 9%. Support programs as far as SNAP and EBT and the TANF, that's up 21 and 28% respectively. So that's showing that there's local strain economically. Consumer behavior, some interesting stuff there. Time outside home, that went down 9%, but the credit card spend went up 1%. So this is a mixed bag of things. I think the thing to be concerned about is that our full-time employment shed that much, but on the good side, our retail sales tax, even in the middle of a pandemic, is really strong, with that being up 5% over the year prior. So any questions on this?
Okay. Looks like next up is the SBA Restaurant Revitalization Fund.
Yep. So I just want to make sure you're all aware of this. I sent an email to all the restaurants in College Place so they were aware of it. But through the American Rescue Plan, there's a carve out where any restaurant that can say they had pandemic losses of up to 10 million can actually put in for a grant program. They say it's a loan, but it ends up being forgivable. It's through the Small Business Administration. The grant application, it opens up May 3rd. And you have to be able to utilize the money by March 11th of 2023. So basically there's a lot of free money there. So all the restaurants need to be applying for that.
Have you got anybody that's turned anything back in?
Well, Chris, I got an email from you that you got it, are you? Oh, you're on mute, Chris.
There we go. Now you can hear me. Yeah, no, I'm actually looking into that. So yeah, as I go through the process, I'll let you know how it goes.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll look into it and get everything rocking and rolling and get back to you guys and kind of see how those programs really work out for small business owners. I really hope that these really will help out a lot of people. So yeah, but
Yeah, and I'll say too that businesses who need help, please refer them to me at the chamber. We've been helping to connect them to resources. We have some state partners that put together some really good webinars that might be able to answer some questions, as well as when programs like this in the past have glitched or stalled out, making sure that our elected officials know. So we'd be happy to help troubleshoot at the chamber if you hear of any businesses in College Place that need help with that.
absolutely. Thanks, Kyle. Yeah, no, I'll get the word out there.
All right. Well, next item is scale up.
Okay, this is another free tool just to make sure you're all aware of. So this is like an online tutorial classroom program that just has elements of increasing your revenue, strengthening your product and your business systems more refined. The state of Washington, they essentially paid for an enterprise license for this. For smaller businesses. So you just essentially have to register through the respective programs. They're going to have multiple sessions going through the spring and the summer. So just go on their website and then sign up for that. And they're covering the cost to do so.
All right. Legislative update.
Okay, legislative update. There were some good bills that passed, a lot of them that were really odd. As far as economic development wise, there are two big ones I would say that we'll need to be looking at. So House Bill 1386, this has to do with living wage employment. And what it allows you to do is if you have a industrial or manufacturing facility that wants to locate into your area and they're willing to sign a certification that they're going to pay essentially a certain, I believe it's at least 10 family wage jobs, and that would be certified through the state. That is an incentive. You now have the ability to waive all or part of property taxes, like lure that company to the area. This is very important because prior to this bill passing, this law was only applicable in Pierce County, so Tacoma area, and now it's applicable to the entire state. So that is a tool to try to encourage industrial businesses to locate in rural areas. So that I will say that that does provide an avenue for us to potentially maybe even get some businesses out of Idaho or even Oregon, because this does exist, should one be interested in our area. The biggest one, and we're waiting for the governor's signature on this, but it did pass the House and the Senate, is tax increment financing. That's House Bill 1189. And what that allows you to do is you can perform a study and you designate an area is financially challenged. And what you're able to do is whatever the increment is between your property taxation now versus 20 or 30 years from now, when a certain development could come, you can essentially figure out what that you believe that increment is in the taxes, and then use that to put in infrastructure to try to get that development to locate in the area. The key thing though is it's going to be a competitive process. So this has to get certified through State Department of Commerce. They're only going to be allowing a certain number of these across the state, and they'll be good for at least 20 years. And then also the amendment that was put on the last bill unfortunately caps this 2 TIF districts per city. So we'll have to determine what areas we want to participate in this. Just because if you draw these the wrong way, it can essentially mess like with your bond rating. You want to be very strategic how you draw TIF districts. So I have some examples that I attach to this, and this is something to just think strategically about, because if the governor signs this, they're going to open up the application to go after TIF immediately. So at that juncture, we're going to have to very quickly figure out what are our TIF districts. As you can see, the chart here shows essentially the general concept of TIF. This is an economic development tool that has been utilized in all other 489 states. We're the last state to the show. Lisa, if you click on the 2 GIS maps, I think those are important to show. Just because if this thing passes, we're going to have to figure out what are the TIF districts we're trying to develop. So my initial recommendation, and think on this, because if it passes, we're going to have to move quick on this, would be our 2 TIF districts should be as follows. One would be like I just named it Meadowbrook TIF, and it would take in Walmart, Hop Thief area, but then also our future area that we annex, which is out along Majanier and College Avenue. So that would help us invest in future infrastructure in this area. So this would be my initial suggestion for the first one. And then the second one, I nicknamed the downtown TIF. And this, in essence, would encapsulate our downtown area. So going from the area of 13th and College, and then just because these TIF districts have to be contiguous, you'll see I just included the College Avenue right the way through the campus, but then it also takes in the north part of College Avenue. So look at these boundaries and the information I included, because if the governor signs this, which I've heard he's going to, what we're going to need to be prepared to do the next meeting is to quickly put together the applications to get our 2 TIF districts established with the boundaries, so that if this thing does get signed, we're going to have to move very aggressively so we don't get left out in the cold.
So Mike, are you looking for us to take any action on this?
Not yet, because I'm waiting on the governor's signature. It's on his desk right now, but it's just, I'm expecting his signature on this, which will mean by the time we meet next month, we're going to have a concept on what districts we want. So I just want you all to know that that would be my recommendation. So take a look at the maps. I would say if anyone has any heartburn over it, email me directly. And the next meeting, if this thing passes, we should be ready to rock and roll on this.
So that's something that we would take action on and then it would go to council.
It would
correct?
go, yeah, it would go to council, but given the fact what we're gonna establish would be good for the next 20 years, I wanna make sure we do it right. So that's why I'm opening it up, where if any of you have heartburn over the boundaries, or you want like a discussion and bringing in other areas, since we can only do 2 of them, let me know. Because before they put that striking amendment with the 2, I'll openly tell you, I originally was hoping to do 4 TIF districts. I was originally hoping to do one that would be like along our side of Myra Road, and then another one that would be like out by Martin Airfield. But since you can only do 2 of them now, these are, I would say, the 2 priority ones. Because I don't want to do like what Illinois does, where you draw a TIF that encompasses like most of your city, because that would really impact our bond rating bad. So we need to be very strategic about this.
Okay. Board members, any questions for Mike? Okay, guess we'll move on.
Okay, with this, I will turn this part over to Lisa about the farmers market, movies at the park, and general event stuff.
Okay, so we are working on our farmers market, getting that ready to go. Our new farmers market manager actually came by today and picked up a computer and stuff that she's going to be working remotely for the next month. And then she'll join us in person starting June 7th. But she's going to be doing a bunch of marketing and things like that in the meantime. We are also working on our movies in the park. We've got the dates scheduled and the movies scheduled for that. It's all going to be at Lions Park this year, so that we only have to do one COVID plan, because we have to do a COVID plan for the health department for each venue. So rather than having to do one for every park throughout the city, this year they're going to all be at Lions Park. Next year we'll work on moving them around the city. And Freedom Festival, I have a meeting with the high school on Friday to go over the spaces and determine how much square footage we're going to be able to use, because the square footage is going to determine our ability to, our number of people that we're allowed to let in. So I should have that nailed down by the end of this week. And as soon as I've got that nailed down, then we'll start actually figuring out how many vendors we can have. We do have our band secured. We are going to have Whiskey Creek this year. And so we'll get everything lined out and start doing marketing on that, and get notices out to those vendors, depending upon how many we can fit in based upon the space. So our hopes is that we can use the ball fields and the track field as well this year, which will give us a lot more space and be able to spread people out, because we can have one person for every 72 square feet. So there's a little bit more. We're going to have to lock things down a little bit more as far as entrance and exits and where people are at, that sort of thing. But we're hoping that that area will give us enough spacing that anybody who wants to come is going to be able to come, is our goal. So we'll see what we can do with that.
Lisa, did you send me an invoice on that?
I think so, but I will double check.
I don't remember getting one, so.
Okay. I'll double check. I thought Carolyn was supposed to have done it before she left, but maybe she didn't, and then I haven't followed up. So I'll make sure we do.
No problem.
Because we certainly appreciate that a lot. So does anybody have any questions about what we've got going on? Oh, and I guess I shouldn't forget to tell you this. At the Freedom Festival, we will also be celebrating the 75th anniversary of the City of College Place. So we're looking to add some things in there for that. I'm not sure if the book that our Historic Preservation Commission is doing will be 100% ready by then. But we're certainly going to be doing the big celebration then, so that we can start off the many months worth of celebrating, I guess. So.
Cool. Well, what's next?
Next is the development tracker. So I'll just go over ones that have changed significantly for May. There are a couple of new leads, which is good, or ones that are reigniting since we're starting to pull out of the pandemic. Project CK, that's a gas station convenience store. They just got a new real estate manager for our area, and they're actually looking at potentially developing the 12th and Myra corner, the northwest corner. It's just a field right now. And it would be a gas station, convenience store, and then potentially a little shopping plaza with other uses adjacent. So they are looking aggressively at that. That same site, there's actually a little bit of competition right now. I couldn't really say exactly what type of business this is, because given where it's located, if I did, it would give it away. It's a Plaza Way business, and with that roundabout project that's going on, they're getting near the end of a lease, and they are a bit concerned about what that's going to do with their business going forward. So they're evaluating options, and that corner, I guess, popped up on their radar. So they're starting to do some due diligence for 12th and Myra as well. I'll say with Project Dominic, if anyone's from the Chicago area, you'd be able to figure it out what that is. So with that, we'll see what happens, but it's good that there's interest in that. Project FM, that is basically what's holding that up is the sewer. I keep communicating monthly with them. As soon as the sewer is done and they know it's a sure thing, they will commit on that, and they'll be a major driver for that area. Project BK, I can say it now since they have approved everything and they're getting everything penciled in. That's the Burger King. That's going to go next to Aspen Dental. So they are getting their final stuff all done and will be good to go there. Project W, if that Project CK comes up, that could be an element of it. That's a fast food establishment, so they're looking. Then Martin Airfield, what's happening there is Terragon is working on a light industrial zoning overlay. And what that will allow is a combination of things that will allow some residential near the airport, but then it'll also allow some light industrial warehousing and other operations conducive with an airport adjacent to it. So that has been turned into a county since right now, even though it's in our urban growth area, it's out in the county. So they're going to evaluate that as part of their zoning cycle. And then we're going to end up doing the same and make sure that it drives with our code. Since hypothetically, if that thing develops in the future, we'd be the one getting the utilities out to it. So we need to be sure of that. And then another new one, which is a bit of a strange one at the end, is Project Medical. That's actually a urgent care facility, and it's not tied with any of the with the current medical system here in the valley. It's a new provider from outside the area, and they're actually interested in getting a pretty significant facility going on that vacant property right behind the car dealership on Commercial Drive. So that's interesting. So we'll see what comes of that. I thought it was dead, but they keep asking more and more questions. So it seems like they're going to be pretty vested. Getting a residential Homestead Phase 3E, which is up on top of the bluff. Those homes are being constructed along the Julia area. The other thing, though, is that they just filed plans for review for their last phase, which would be behind the detention basin to the east of Dones. They actually want to put around 30 wise size homes, and that's basically affordable housing. So smaller homes where they're like small cottages. So they want to put those basically on the east side of the Dones, from around like where Carver is all the way up to the base of the hill. So we're reviewing those plans right now and checking everything there. Villages at Fort Walla Walla, there's still legal stuff going on there. I've been assured that they aren't going away, so it's just a matter of when it gets built. Stepper Edition at the end of Maple, that is still being constructed. Country Estates, that's out for public comment. They just want to put a couple more manufactured housing where the old poor farmhouse was at. Sermon Development, we're getting very close to issuing permits on that. As a refresher, that'll be an apartment complex right across the street from Wenzel Nursery over on Spitzenberg. So I'm still expecting that to go this summer. Stone Creek Development, that's where Southwest Sewer is. A lot of that is waiting for Southwest Sewer to be built, and then Craig Christensen owns the property, like the western 2/3 of it. We're working on a short plat process with him because he wants to split his big property into 9 other properties so it can be sold easier to various developers, because there isn't really a lot of developers that are willing to take on at one time over 200 acres. The recession 10 years ago dealt those folks out of the market pretty much. And then Whispering Creek, which is at the end of 8th Street, heading toward Lions Park. It's just to the west of Larch. Those homes continue to be under construction. So those are going good. That's Dam Priest development, and that was that vacant lot, big vacant lot on the south side of 8th. That's being developed, and they keep going. So I would expect that to wrap up probably tail end of this year, early next year. But that provides you a little update on what's going on. Any questions?
All right. Guess that's it.
Yep.
Anything else, board members, for this evening? At the end of our agenda?
The next meeting would be, just for your information, on Monday, June 7th at 5 o'clock.
Okay. I have one question, Lisa or Mike. Who'd you hire for the new events / I don't know what else, but
Deputy Clerk Events Coordinator. Her name is Shelley Williams, and she previously worked for the Puyallup Main Street Association.
okay.
And she handled a lot of she was an administrative assistant to the executive director there and marketing. So she's got, and she used to own her own marketing business as well. So she's got a lot of events experience and marketing experience. And she's going to start on the marketing portion of it just here in this week. And we think she's going to bring some really good ideas with her. So
Great.
if you've
Good to
ever
hear.
been to the Puyallup Meeker Days Festival, which is, I guess, a gigantic 3-day festival, she kind of heads that up. So
Yeah, that's a big festival. Actually, I was going to be on that. I lived right down the street actually from there when I lived in Puyallup. So yeah, I know right where she comes from. Yeah, that's a big market too.
yeah, yes. So
Yeah,
she should have some really good experience and really good ideas for us.
that's awesome. Cool.
Yeah, great. Well, if there's nothing else, need a motion for adjournment.
Motion then.
And the second,
Second.
all in favor of adjournment, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Y'all have
Have
a
a great
great week.
Yeah.
Have a
Thanks.
great night.